Hi, we're back. Okay, so we are looking again. This is part 2 of how we do imperfect was, were, used to verbs. Okay, so I want you to forget the word imperfect as soon as possible. Speak English. I want you to forget the word imperfect as soon as possible for two reasons. Firstly, it's an English word, and we don't need you to be using English to explain French. L'imparfait in French. Secondly, we don't need you to be thinking grammar. I want you to go on gut. I want you to be thinking of this tense as a movement tense, as a wishy-washy tense. I don't need you to be thinking perfect, imperfect, perfect, imperfect. It's just more steps to be thinking of and visualising and an extra cognitive barrier to when you're trying to speak at speed or even listen at speed. Okay, so we previously talked in the previous video about how we're going to not be obsessing with endings. We're just going to be just gently giving the ending A for most people in this tense. So A for ion for the nous, ia for the vous, and A at the bottom. Now, we said that was very easy if we were dealing with the A to use the same sound verb, the ER verb. So manger, je mangeais. Tu mangeais, il mangeait, nous mangions, vous mangiez, il mangeait. But if we have another type of verb, and can we go back to the core method with logic language learning? We have two types. What are they? A verbs, not that I like that term, or soft and hard. So what I need you to do now is to go to the soft and hard verbs and to find the hard. So anywhere you've used a soft and a hard verb, and all the different irregularities that we've looked at are going to make this tense easy, easy, easy now. So let's do a classic soft hard. Let's do the one I always use for teaching. Let's use to go out, sortir. So don't forget your classic soft hard technique. Go through it in your mouth. Sortir. So we don't find a hard letter in soft hard, we find a hard sound, because we are finding words with our brain and with our sound, with our mouth, rather than with our eyes. So sort is my hard. Yeah? Sortir, sort. Yeah? I am then going to be adding exactly the same endings that I've just been focusing on with the other verbs. So A for everybody, ion for nous, ia for vous. So sortir, to go out. I was going out. Je sortais. Je sortais. Tu sortais, il sortait, nous sortions, vous sortiez, il sortait. So by and large, all of your verbs are going to have exactly the same endings for the imperfect, for the was. So if we had another verb, pouvoir, pouvoir, to be able to, not to can, to be able to. So as irregular as this is, in the je peux, tu peux, il peut, if you don't remember what that means, I can, you can, we've got a stem change going on. Go back and have a look at the video for stem changes in irregular soft hard verbs. But the point is, pouvoir, in my infinitive, in my long form, is there an obvious hard letter? Yes, there is. V. Pouv. Okay? So pouvait, 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 pouvions, pouviez, pouvait. I'm using this hard sound as my base. So to remind you the technique with the was verb, I will be adding a, ion, a, to either the core of an ER verb, of an A verb, or to the hard of a soft and hard verb. Do some more for me. So the verb to have is avoir, avoir. Okay? Now, as strange as this is in other tenses you've possibly looked at, j'ai, tu, as, il, a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, irregular, the basic verb is a soft hard verb, avoir, av. So find me the hard and go just as far as the hard and stop, av. Okay? So what am I going to add on the end of it? Give me my A endings. Avait, j'avais, tu avais, il avait, nous avions, vous avez, ils avaient. And this should be something you are doing without writing. Only when you go to write do you need to remind yourself AIS, AIS, AIT, IONS, IEZ, AINT. Do some more for me. So the sister verb of pouvoir, to want, anybody remember? Vouloir. So what do we find with soft hard? We find the hard sound. Voul. Okay, so add me my endings. Voulais, voulais, voulais. So I wanted, je voulais, tu voulais. Okay, good. Now, I've just said that if you know how to find the hard sound on your verb, you know how to do this tense, which is completely true. But where do we go to check if there are any doubts? So up until now, we've been using the long form. Pouvoir gave us pouvait, sortir gave us sortez. So let's have a look. Okay, let me just take this off for a second. So you're pretty comfortable now with these endings. So if I had sortir, we are now comfortable with, for example, sortez, sortez, and so on. Okay? And this is something we're going to get directly from the infinitive. But as you will remember, there are verbs where we cannot use the information given to us in the infinitive. For example, what is our verb to say? Dire, dire. Okay? Now, I can tell you straight off, apart from... I'm going to stop saying the exception because the exception makes you worry. We'll learn the exception another time. Let's say we're not going to use R for our hard sound ever. Okay? That's easier to remember. We're never going to use R for our hard sound. It belongs in the future. So if we have a verb like dire, to say, or écrire, to write, or lire, to read, then we know straight away we can't use that R. And you have learnt, hopefully by now, if you haven't, please have a look at the video for those verbs, that we have alternatives. So we have li, lisant, lisez, lise. That's our present tense. We read nous lisons. Okay? So the method with this tense, the was, is so simple. You are just going to use the new hard sound that you've established for yourself with the we of the present tense. So, I was saying, I need to find we say, nous disons, okay? So, nous disons. And you can do this on sound before I even write this. So, disons, knock off the on, dis is my new hard. So, disez, 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 disions, disiez, disez. So, nous disons is disons, okay? We're going to make this our new hard, okay? Disais. Okay, I was saying. So for that matter, if we've agreed that the hard sound of the verb to write is a V, écrire, we don't use the R, écrit, 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 écrivons, okay, écrivez, écrive, but we don't need those now. So nous écrivons, cut off the on, écrivons. So we're looking at the new form to find our new hard, as we would normally in an infinitive. Yeah? So sortir, sort, écrivons, écrive. So écrive is our new hard. Add my A endings. Écrivez, 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 écrivions, écriviez, écrive, etc. What were the s verbs? What's the verb to finish? Finir, finir, okay? So we jumped, we went fini, 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 nous finissons. Can I remind you how we spell that? How many S's do I need to give me an S in French? 2, okay? So nous finissons. Do it with your sound and your mouth. Don't do it with your eyes just yet. So we're getting rid of the on. We're stopping at the hard. Nous finissons. So I was finishing. I used to finish. Je finissais. Let's have a look. Okay, and I'm writing these just so you can see how easy it is. I don't need you to find them visually, okay? So, finissons was double S-O-N-S. Nous finissons. So, our hard is finis, the finis sound. So, I was finishing, for example, finissez. Okay? Any of my A endings will come after this hard sound. Finissez, 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 finissions, finissiez, finissez. Okay? Good. A couple then. So some examples for you. Verb to be is être. Okay? And those of you who've seen the video know there is an accent over the E. Okay? We have a circumflex, so être. Okay? Être. Now, if I were to use the classic model, what sound do I need to make was? Come on, guys. A. Okay? Is there an A in être? No. It's not traditional soft hard verb. It's very irregular, but the point is it's not an A verb, so I need to add an A. I need an A. If it's there, I'll use it. Manger, I'll use manger. If it's not there, I need to add. So where can I add an A? Find me être. Now travel through être, and you tell me where the hard is. Être. What's the first hard sound? Être. It's et. So I'm going to use this t as my base for my imperfect endings. So était, 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 étions, étiez, était. The only thing that happens here, okay, is that we have an E with an acute, okay? We have an E with an acute. Now, I have to stress a couple of other things. For those of you that are doing exams, okay, for written, can I remind you a law, which I will give you a nice video on at another time, which is about how a G in French, and a C actually, needs something to stop it sounding hard. So for example, if I have manger, M-A-N-G-E-R, that's fine, okay? If I have a G and an A, I have the sound G, like a garçon, like boy, or waiter, although I prefer the word serveur. So if you have manger, so you might think, right, okay, I can work this one out. So I've got my traditional verb, so parler, okay, there's parler, and as we've been doing, knock off the A, and I'm going to put my traditional ending on parler, okay? So you might think that's fine. Now what happens when you try and do this with manger? Okay. We need to put an E before that A, because if you were to go straight from G to A, AIS, you'd have manger. Okay, so this is just something for anybody who's writing that tense, manger, for exams, which is a very common verb for teachers to use. Can you remember to pop a little E in, okay, before any of the endings with A? Now, mangions is fine, and I is good enough in French, mangions. Okay, that's just a little extra thing for those of you who are doing exams. So can I remind you, the end of this imperfect video, I will do another one which talks about the difference between the imperfect and the past and using them together much more readily. But for now, can I remind you, everybody is going to have A. All we are going to do is snip off our E and our R like letters, and we're going to put these endings on. But that is how we write. For sound, we are just going to add A on the end of either our core or on the end of our hard. Okay? So I'm going to finish this video now. I'm going to give you another video where I talk about the differences between the two, and I will then give you lots of examples where you're jumping between the soft and the hard method and the A video. Oh, I do apologise, the soft and the hard method and the normal method, okay? So, I will see you soon. If you've liked this video, if it's really helped you avoid memorising all these endings and you think it's useful, please do click like. Take care.